Hey gang, here to talk about the Quad Cortex again. Never be afraid to do things wrong or make mistakes or just do things your own way because you learn things. And every day I'm learning about the Quad Cortex more and more. I had put up those previous patches for cleaner-ish, which was like a clean-ish guitar, mostly clean, really good guitar sound though, and an acoustic preset that was pretty amazing in my opinion. If you just listen to the isolated, direct recorded acoustic, it's pretty damn good. It'll be really great in performance. And then I put up a crunchy guitar. But then I put up another patch of, I was like, well, what if you could plug in, because that's how great the Quad Cortex is, what if you could put in a patch where you had the acoustic in one input, because there's two inputs, right? And the electric in the other, and you just switch guitars and stay in the same patch. Whereas you could be running a looper in one patch and a freeze in the other, which is what I did, because you can't run a looper in two of the same instances in the same patch, and you could have a freeze and a looper going and play over it. It would be pretty damn cool, right? Right. I'm not saying I did things wrong, because this is why you got to experiment and why I'm encouraging you to. I got some cool sounds, but I ran into a roadblock, and where that roadblock was is when I wanted to add in a volume pedal on my electric, because sometimes I play lap steel, definitely need a volume pedal there, but sometimes I use a volume pedal with electric when I'm doing more atmospheric stuff, right? Okay, that's where I ran into the roadblock. So I went to put the volume pedal, the effects loop. I wanted to use my own volume pedal. I'm very happy with my Moyo. It's like a mini-ish volume pedal, and it's really great. But I didn't want to make it into an expression pedal. Anyway, I'm using two expression pedals for other things, and I wanted to keep the Moyo. So what do? You create an effects loop. So send one, return one. The problem is that the sounds that I was getting in those other patches, some of you who are really, really slick Quad Cortex users know that I had sort of a wet dry-ish thing going on, right? When I had my splitter sending to the second track, there was still one track going to one output straight out, right? And then the other one was routing to the splitter, and they were blending at the end. And that came up with a great sound. But then when you want to try to put an effects loop in there, it only cuts off one of the two routes. So what do we do about that? I'm going to show you, and I'm going to upload this, so now you have another option. The acoustic patch has not changed from my other acoustic patch. It's maybe slightly more simplified, but all the basic elements are there. The acoustic patch is still implementing a wet dry-ish, because the splitter is not getting full. When you put a splitter in, you have a balance knob. So if you want to send 100%, you put the balance knob all the way to 10, and that sends that split straight out, and then you're getting like full on, goes to here, routes to here, and goes to the outputs, right? Okay. The acoustic's not doing that. The dry acoustic sound is going straight out. And then the split is going to all the freeze and the delay and all the wet effects, chorus, whatnot. That's cool. I'm keeping that. The only thing I changed is the electric side, but it changed quite a bit, and it changed the sound. And let me just say one more bit about that. I'm using that Captain 50 amp. Well, I got it to sound the way I wanted it to with the old splitting way. So I had some dry going out and then wet, almost a dry wet, not exactly, but relatively. But as soon as I changed that so that everything was 100%, the amp changed. So I had a little bit of a play around with the amp, and where I didn't have the low boost on before, it got a little too spanky for me when it was 100% going straight through and there wasn't a wet dry split. So I played around with it a lot. The tweaks I made are thus, before I show you, so I'll stop talking in a second. The changes I made are thus. I changed the low boost of the amp from not on to on. I took a little bit of the bass away, like a few clicks. I took a couple of clicks of the mid and a few clicks of the treble. The top boost, the bright switch, is still on. Why? Because in that amp, the bright switch to me feels it changes the character more than makes it spanky. That's not what was making it spanky. And when I turned the bright switch off, it wasn't making it less bright necessarily. It was just changing the character. So I've left that on, the bottom boost on. The other thing I've changed, because once you put the bottom boost on that amp changes a certain frequency, a certain roundness in the really low end, like below 90, like maybe even below 80. And I was already cutting at like 72, 74. I've upped that to 82. And then I made a little bit more of a cut. It'll all be in the patch, but I made a little bit more of a cut of about a half a dB at 244 hertz. And that kind of evened it out. See what works for your guitar, your pickups, your amp, and play with it if you like this idea. But now we have a full 100% in series electric with a volume pedal in the effects loop after the gain stage, which is also important, right? And then the acoustic has stayed the same. So let's take a look at it, and I'll play a little for you. So this is the new patch. It's now called Acoustic Electric VP for volume pedal. And I know it's hard to see on screen because when things aren't on, it just looks blank, but you'll see what's on. Like I said, not that much has changed, except there's a effects loop for the volume pedal, and we'll play around with that and you'll see how much it's changed. And then I'll play the acoustic, and again, this will be up on the Quad Cortex Cloud under my name, Ed Pedersen, easy to find. So start off, no volume pedal, no sound. So that was the new electric clean-ish sound. Now I'm going to demonstrate the acoustic, which you've heard before if you saw my other video. So here we go. So anyway, there's a rough demonstration of what's going on. I think this is better. Just different. The electric is different. Better, maybe, but different. I could live with it because I'm going to run a few other pedals before the Quad Cortex, and it'll be fine. It's not that much different than the other one, but a little bit. It feels a little different. Not worse. In some ways, it's better. I like the heft, and I tried to carve out too much mud so it wouldn't be too sticky on the bottom. So I hope you like it. This will be up at my Quad Cortex cloud, so you can go download it for free and enjoy. And again, remember, the acoustic has 2 free IRs that were from the Acoustic IR website. It's a free website that has like some pretty amazing acoustic IRs. So I tell you what they are in the patch, so go get them. All right, cool, enjoy.